Okay, welcome everybody. This is Futuristik Cosplay, also known as Kelsey or Cal, depending on what you know me by. And I am hosting the Man of Steel 10-year anniversary celebration podcast episode for Cosplay Alliance / Beneath the Cowl. I have several guests with me. Several others will be joining a little bit later, but for right now, let's go around the circle with our two current guests. Go ahead, Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I go by Morganite Cosplay on my socials. I'm currently in the New Orleans area, and I have been cosplaying. I jumped in full time and started a social media account about 3 years ago, and I mainly cosplay Marvel and DC characters. So Man of Steel is one of my favorite movies. I love Zack Snyder, and thank you so much for having me.
Very welcome.
Hey, I'm FMJbatman. You can just call me Batman. I'm based here in Edmonton, Alberta, with some mutual friends that Kels knows, like EA Superman, who couldn't be here with us tonight. But we're here up in Canada representing DC. I mostly do Batman, but I also do occasionally do Daredevil from time to time as well. So, and with Man of Steel being kind of like the gateway, which I'll elaborate on for me getting into cosplay, this is a pretty awesome event to be a part of. So thanks for having me as well.
Very welcome. So let's see. Why don't we start with, we kind of introduce ourselves as where we are online, what we do, what our preferences are, but why don't we say kind of what kind of a creative are you? Are you specifically just a cosplayer? Are you a foam smith? Are you a prop maker? Are you beyond cosplay, also doing other things? For myself, I am purely a cosplayer. I am unfortunately not talented enough to be in the crafting, prop making sphere. I commission people for that. But I do gender bent Clark, so I do Superwoman for a lot of charity events. I have the original Man of Steel suit, which you can see on my page, Futuristik Cosplay. So I'm purely a cosplayer in the name of this particular podcast episode. But how about you guys? Morgan?
Well, I would say my main passion is working with foam. I kind of just fell into it. I love making armored looks and everything. So the Kryptonian armor and everything really was something that I've always wanted to do. And I felt foam was the perfect medium to do that. It's lightweight. I feel like you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. So I don't know if I would consider myself a foam smith yet, because there's a lot of really insanely talented people that make the craziest stuff out of foam, but definitely something to shoot for. Like I said, I mainly stick to, I find Marvel and DC. I do love a bunch of other fandoms as well, but for some reason I keep getting drawn to especially superhero characters from those, comic book series. I would say my main passion is I want to be able to help people feel like everyone can cosplay. So regardless of your body type, that was something that I've always struggled with. And I really wanted to cosplay earlier than I did, but that was something that I was grappling with. So I'm really grateful that I've joined the community and I've met really amazing people such as yourselves. So yeah, right now I'm just trying to learn as much as possible. I love to make my own costumes. I get a lot of joy from that. But I also, love to get, just lycra suits, custom stuff. Yeah, those are my main areas, I would say.
We will come back to a certain topically relevant costume that Morgan has done in a little bit, but why don't we move on to Bats?
So for me, I'm much like Kels. I'm someone who commissions cosplays as well. I've done a little bit of foam making here and there, but it's by my own kind of lack of willingness to commit more time to it, I haven't been able to delve deep. Which I have one costume that Morganite's referring to. Oh my god, it's amazing! Just for lack of better, but that's like kind of like the skill level I would aspire to for myself. But for me, a big thing is I like commissioning, and I love the doing detailing and modification of suits, especially because the things that prop makers make is a one size fits all. So getting into that process of making it fit, kind of like how Michael Wilkinson would make it fit on an actor, finding that symmetry, that's a big thing for me. So I try to replicate that with both this Ben Affleck suit or my Michael Keaton suit or any of the suits that I like to do. And then besides that, as a creative wise, I also am starting to work more regularly as a stunt actor or stunt double here up in Edmonton. Not as much work these days with the writer's strike, which we all pray gets sorted soon. But I mean, it's a fun time getting to do some indie movies, getting to do some of my own videos that I've posted on my social media. It's been a fun time. But yeah, I like to try and incorporate every little aspect of my life into cosplay. And if I can dress up for it, why not?
I saw your recent bat stunt video. So what was the training like over the years to get you to this point of being able to put out something like that?
So like one of the nice things with like the bat stunt video is kind of a culmination of, you know, me being 5 years old trying to replicate what I saw on TV and in the movies, and then just analyzing things like the warehouse fight scene in BVS, and then just kind of showing that to the guys that I train under. The guys that train me and that I am like part of the team of now, they worked on The Last of Us, and so that like it's a big opportunity. Like they're legitimate stunt folk, and like the work we've gotten to do has set us up to be able to kind of do stuff for ourselves for fun. One thing though that I was not prepared for was how much costuming and cosplay is intricate, especially in movies. I almost choked myself out being on the wire with a cape on. I almost asphyxiated myself at the top of the wire, which was a fun time. But it's kind of, yeah, training wise, I started doing martial arts when I was younger, and I got back into it in the past couple of years. So that's kind of where it's been at, and just learning more, doing more as I've been training with those folks over there.
All right.
Really cool.
That is legitimately awesome. I do not personally know any stunt people, even here in LA where I'm based, but I respect the work they do to an insane degree. They deserve an Oscar category. They deserve everything. It is just the work they do is insane.
Richard Citron, he's a Batfleck's stunt double. He's a huge influence on me for this stuff. So I agree with you there.
I got to meet him at the original SnyderCon back in 2019. He is an incredible human being. He is
That's so cool.
Stories he has, just absolutely incredible.
You're living the dream.
I almost been involved with Man of Steel just as a background stunt member, just so he could tell us stories from that movie too.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He plays a Kryptonian.
Really cool.
Was he one of the background Kryptonians? Did he stand in for one of those?
Yeah, I thought he had a bit of dialogue. I thought I'd have to rewatch it just to double check, but I remember seeing his face a couple of times. So.
I remember, was it Christina Wren has pretty much been in the entire trilogy as specifically stunt specific characters like Amazon, Kryptonian, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That like I wish kind of that had been his arc. He just been doing all these background stunt characters and just had all these hilarious stories from the casts. That would have been. I wish he had like this podcast episode or something like that he could just like regale all of his industry knowledge and all of his stories from all the years that he's worked. I mean, the guy has been working decades. He has been here a long time, and he's still working. So
I would almost argue that they should have those types of workers as guests at cons.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
That would be really, really cool, kind of, to vary, the different range of guests that they have at these things. I think that would be really, really cool, especially for people that are interested in getting into that type of work as it relates to any kind of, comic movies, any kind of anything that would require that kind of action.
Mm-hmm. I legitimately don't think I have ever seen stunt guests. at a con. I don't think that's ever happened before. And that's really depressing because they're responsible for the coolest shots in all these movies that we love, including Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that really needs to be rectified.
Yeah.
Great point.
Well, I'd love to hear like Alberto. He was the one who doubled for Henry for BVS and the Snyder Cut of Justice League, or Justice League in general. I'd love to hear his stories of, you know, like what it's like being on a wire, getting to like having to simulate Henry's look and all that. Like Henry's a beefcake, so like imagine having to replicate that too, as well as being able to do your own stunts. And I mean, for all the folks in that industry, you know, like you said, they make all these awesome shots, and I bet they have stories not just of the actors but of like the process of how do you make something look cool. Yeah, it's cool to walk around and have that hero shot, but how do you make like a cumbersome like Kryptonian suit example? How do you make that look cool in the shot? Which is, for us as cosplayers, we're always thinking like, how do we make our suits look more comfortable, and how do we make it look more like move better, and we could pose better in it too. So like hearing from them would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad that I haven't seen, I think I've seen maybe two or three Zods in my time since 2013, just because of the sheer scale of that suit has prevented most people from doing it. And the fact that Michael Shannon was not wearing a practical costume on set. He was literally wearing mocap pajamas, and that was it. And they made that entire suit look practical, which blows my mind every time I watch it.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to find the Zod to my tiara. I'm waiting for someone to just do it, and then I'm like, should I do it and make it for someone else? I don't know.
Has anyone like contacted you, or have you seen anyone who's built it or attempted to build it?
When I've looked at Instagram, kind of looking through different hashtags and things like that, the only Zod cosplays that I've seen are like comic look.
Oh yeah,
or like from the
Square Z and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, kind of more lycra suit. I haven't seen anyone specifically do, number one, his armor when they're on Earth. The armor from the beginning of the movie, I know someone that is making it.
Wow.
So I'm excited for him to finish that.
Wow.
Yeah. So but honestly, other than that, I really haven't. I feel like maybe on Google every once in a while, I'm like, I feel like I saw someone at a con do it, but I mean, I don't know where that was or who that was. I couldn't figure out and find them. So, but yeah, it's definitely not done very often because it's just so detailed, and again, the practicality of it is very difficult to figure out.
I can't even imagine doing the Krypton suit. That one's even more elaborate, and it takes away all of like the sharp edges and the square components of the Earth suit. So man, that's good.
Yeah.
How long have they been working on it?
I could be wrong on this. I want to say at least 3 months, I would say.
Jeez.
It took me several months to finish mine. Fiora's look from the beginning of the movie. When I made this most recent suit when they're on Earth, I kind of blew through it a lot quicker. One, I had attempted it before 2 years ago, and I just wasn't there yet. And then it's definitely less detailed as far as like the small details, but it definitely was. It kind of came with its own set of challenges. On sizing, making sure you can move. It's very asymmetrical, which is really cool. One of my favorite parts about it.
Kind of the disc.
And so it's a lot of, each piece is very unique. So trying to capture all the detail from very limited angles, and like scouring the internet for some kind of reference photos. I've found photos of the suits, Fiora, the Superman suit, and then Jor-El from the beginning of the movie. It looked like it was on display somewhere. So someone took a bunch of photos of that, thankfully. So, it's not only seeing the suits in the film, but when you see it in real life, you're like, whoa, because depending on the movie, the color grading and the cinematography can really affect how it looks on the camera. But in real life, it could look very, very different. So it's trying to capture all of that as much as possible.
So what was it about Feora's 2 suits that made you want to pursue that? Why Feora?
I just think she's a total badass. I remember I remember watching the film for the first time in the movie theater. I kind of went into it with a poor mindset because, again, we had kind of just gotten off of, another Superman movie that, wasn't that great, in my opinion. So you're kind of getting that fatigue. And so I'm like, another Superman movie. Didn't really, get into it when it was announced and things like that. But I went to go see it in the theaters, and
Life changing.
Yeah. Well, what blew me away was their fight scene in the town and the way that they visually made the Kryptonians move and their speed and everything. So that hit me. I'd never seen that visually depicted like that before, and I thought it was just amazing, especially for 2013. So I don't know, I fell in love with her design. I thought the Kryptonians design was just so gorgeous and incredible. And this was before I even was interested in cosplay, but I was like, man, that would be amazing to just wear that. I feel like you would just feel incredible. And once I got into cosplay, I knew that I wanted to do them, both of them. The one from the beginning, I was like, man, I don't know if I could ever do that. It's just so freaking detailed. I don't know. So several months of several mental breakdowns, almost quitting, but persevering anyway and just trying to figure out how to make it work. And I'm so glad that I did. And, it's definitely, I would say, my proudest work so far. It means a lot to me. And I think I'm the only one that has done that look. I haven't found it. I haven't, the one from the beginning of the movie, with the spikes and it's brown and it has their insignia on it. I tried to find other, that's the first thing I do is try to find other cosplayers that have done that, that look, because I'm instantly message them, be like, how did you do this? What do you recommend? Help me get started here. Most people are incredibly kind and, but I rarely could find anything for that. But yeah, I love her. I think, they did an incredible job depicting her. And I'm excited to see her again in the flesh, even if it's for just a second. I'll still be the one being screaming when they show her. So
I think I've seen the Earth armor once or twice prior to you doing it.
Yes.
But yeah, I'd never seen the Krypton armor of hers before. Not once. So you get,
if y'all do, please send them my way, because again, I love to connect with other people that are into the same things. So
I think I've only seen one person do the Krypton armor, and that was Jor-El's armor. That looked insane already as it was. It was online back in 2016, 2017. It was probably I want to say Dragon Con or Emerald, one of those bigger where everybody brings out their A game stuff, but it looks really detailed. So I can only imagine those shapes and the geometric design of everything, right? Because let's face it, with these costumes in this universe, it's not enough to just make them look pretty. We gotta like
Right.
that's how intricate can we make this? So just make every cosplayer just cry a little bit. Like I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's tried to replicate Cyborg yet, just because of how like the shapes of Cyborg is like insane, much less the Kryptonian stuff, right?
I've seen one thus far.
I've seen one as well.
Like not a cast, right?
Yeah. Was the Jor-El with Man of Steel group or anything like that, or was he solo?
Just solo walking around with his little like little blaster gun.
Rifle, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, rifle. So
Oh,
Respect.
my God.
Yeah, the costume design is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Wilkinson is on a whole other level.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. It would be a dream come true to meet him one day.
I really hope, God willing, we get a SnyderCon 3. I really hope Zach ropes him into coming to that one. Really, really hoping.
Yeah.
Like, I actually did Feora for SDCC. God, what was it? I want to say like 2014 maybe, something like that. It was just this unbelievably like closet version. I got like the leotard off Amazon. I got the wetsuit boots that the leotard that kind of goes over, so the divide isn't as obvious as it is. I put it on. I had my dad, who is engineering genius. He's great with like blueprints and all that kind of stuff. He's great with artwork. He painted the like the Kryptonian the border designs all along the side, the belts, the things, the ribs, everything there. So none of that was 3D. It was just painted on. But in my opinion, he did an amazing job looking at the reference in front of him and then painting it on the suit. But compared to almost 10 years later now of what's available in terms of being able to commission things for cosplay, it's insane. Like my Man of Steel suit is essentially the fabric from the movie. They have found a way to replicate that and screen print it. And that's my entire suit. My entire suit is that fabric, top to bottom. Yep. So for Feora, I had the prop knife that she had. I think I got it. It was the Ruby's version, so I just got it off Amazon or something like that, and then figured out a way to like Velcro strap it around my thigh or something like that, and then just got a black cape to throw over my shoulders. Why I decided to do Feora at that point, I have no idea. I was just like, you know what, my hair's short. She's badass. Why not? I'd love to do that, and I know that's kind of she's a badass is one of the driving factors for you doing her. So I was like, you know what? No one else did any Man of Steel or anything like that for San Diego that year. And like in 2013, 2014, cosplay still was not huge, even at San Diego at that point. So I was fairly unique in as far as I went, even with that little closet level version.
Right.
But
yeah, it's interesting how people have, especially, Superman cosplayers, that has been, a really important look for people to cosplay. So it's I'm glad that it is, and it's amazing that cost makers and costume designers, have found a way, like you said, to replicate fabrics, resin casting, the emblem, all the details, to add texture and everything to the suit. So, it's amazing how, that film is very impactful in more ways than one, and that it's still relevant today.
Still impacting us all creatively, personally. It's insane. And the fact that I only got the Man of Steel suit done, it's now 2 years ago. That's still almost 10 years after the film was released. It stays that long, and it means that much to you for that long. That's been my dream suit since I saw the movie, was to wear Henry Cavill's Superman suit from specifically that movie. I love the BBS suit. I love the Justice League suit, but that one was the dream suit. And
Yeah.
I finally managed to make it happen. And every time I wear it is just it's magical. It's literally magical. So I will never get tired of putting that suit on.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's funny. I still feel like Man of Steel's the costume itself. Instantly, I will recognize it anywhere I see it, whether it's on a costume or on a toy or a Hot Toys or whatever. But it visually is just so striking to me, and I still think I prefer it over the BVS and the Justice League suit, just because of when I first saw it, I was like, this feels Superman but alien at the same time, and I really dig the
Yeah.
going for, and it just felt it hit that perfect balance for me. So
I totally agree, and that's why I wanted the Man of Steel suit. As I said, I appreciate all the trilogy suits, but that one was just it was the first, and it meant the most because that was Clark's first introduction to his heritage. That was his biological
Yeah.
father saying, "This is where you come from. This is what you represent," and it's
Right.
the first time he puts it on, and it's
Mhm.
the first time we see Superman in the flesh taking flight in that suit. So that stuck with me forever, and I was like, someday I will wear that suit. And like Beth said, anytime I see the emblem, anytime I see the combination of colors, merchandise, figures, statue, anything, it's just this instant kind of like that little gasp of recognition as soon as you see it, and that's never going to stop because it will always elicit that out of me. So
Yeah.
well, think of all the movies it influenced afterwards too. I remember there was an interview where the costume designer for Black Panther once said that they took cues from the Man of Steel suit and replicated it for Chadwick Boseman's costume, specifically the muscle suit and the texturing underneath. Now you got like the boys doing it, and you have even Titans and all those other TV shows that came afterwards too. They all replicated the same thing. Tyler Hoechlin's current suit, very similar as well. It it started something, and like to its credit, it still stands the test of time. 10 years later, it's pretty awesome.
it's phenomenal in that way because it really did it was the birth of the new age of superhero media, that it really was the cusp and the start of it all.
Mhm.
So that relevancy will never change. It will remain as that cornerstone for the costumes, for the story that it told, for the characters that were introduced, for the performances that everyone gave. And everyone, top to bottom, behind and in front of the camera, brought their A game. And it, as Beth said, it stands the test of time precisely for that reason.
Mhm.
So, and everybody taking cues from it in the industry for similar movies, either superhero or not. That happens every day because all of the work that went into that specific movie to make the costumes work, to make the action and stunt scenes work, the ripple effect is ongoing today because everyone is still learning and improving and making it even better. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's why I love it so much. It's just so multifaceted and impacts so many different levels of the industry, of fandom, of fans just watching it. It's yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's a very misunderstood film. I think, you know, depending on the generation too, I think what Zach did is, he brought the reality and the darkness, and that, if you had a figure like this in modern times, this is how it would really go. He probably would destroy a whole city, even if he who had good intentions. He would have to make really hard moral decisions. And how would the people of Earth react to something like that? You know, um, so I know there was a lot of criticism for how Kal-El was, his character. So, which I think makes people that are really true fans of the film, I feel like it makes our connection stronger because, you know, obviously we connected with something and we saw something that, you know, Zach did with the story and we saw the true intentions of the film and what it could mean. So I feel like, you know, the people that say, oh yeah, I love Man of Steel so much, or, you know, that's my favorite uh, superhero film. It's like, yeah, we can chill.
You know you're gonna
Yeah.
get a great feeling because
Yeah.
Perry says it in the film. He says, "Can you imagine how people would react if there was someone like this out there?" That's the exact question that Zach
Yeah.
posits to the audience. He says,
Yeah.
"What if these mythical characters, what if these archetypes existed in a world as close to our own as possible? What would that look like? What would the ramifications be? How would we as a population react to that? How would politics change? How would social media change? Everything."
Right.
And what I feel like a lot of people go into Man of Steel not really understanding that not only is it an origin story, it's his first day on the job. We see the origin story setting it up and saying, here he is at approximately 30 years old. He is not Superman. He does not know where he comes from. He knows none of that. But we're going to see flashbacks showing his entire life. All he's wanted to do is help people. That's it. He found out he's not from Earth when he was a bitty little teenager from his dad, and he's carried that the rest into his adult life. And then once we actually hit right about the first third of the movie, we hit the discovery of the scout ship, and then snowballing into discovering his heritage, who he is, where he comes from, then putting on the suit for the first time. And that's his first day on the job. He's never fought anyone. He's never thrown a punch. Of course he hasn't, because everyone around him is a human. He knows exactly what's going to happen if he gets into a fight with someone. That's why he withdrew, for not only his safety, but for everyone else's safety, to keep everyone else protected. So when he's presented with this threat that is his species coming to Earth, and an equivalent threat of him standing against him, he has no idea what to do. He has never been presented with that as a possibility that could happen. So he does the best he can with what he has in that moment. Is it enough? That's up for debate. That's why he's being debated in the next movie. That's why his right to exist is being debated in the next movie. The immigrant allegory there is not subtle. It is not subtle at all. So Zach relying extraordinarily on this is the ultimate immigrant story ruffled a few people, and they didn't like that as much. And that's why I know so many people who have lived that story, who have lived the immigrant story and are immigrants wherever they live, wherever they call home. That's why it impacted them so personally and so profoundly, and why they love this particular story so much. But people who have never had to experience that and have never been confronted with that might not have understood it, and kind of rejected it and said, no, that doesn't fit right for me, that doesn't work. And I think that's why a lot of people took issue with Jonathan and the words of wisdom he imparted to his son, just because, no, he is not saying his son should let all of his peers in school in that school bus die. That is not what he was saying. He is the parent of a child who they have spent his entire life paranoid that the government is going to show up on their doorstep at any time to take him away and turn him into an experiment. The real life equivalent is that is not exactly the same thing, but in essence, that is what immigrant parents fear. That is what immigrant parents fear for their children, for themselves. That is why they are so protective of their children. They shouldn't have to be, but they are. and that story reflected it very accurately. So in terms of that little exchange between father and son, people who haven't lived that, or don't know people who've lived that, it didn't connect for them, and they said that seems weird and not very in character. So it's just there's a lot of very intentional storytelling that people can't really seem to move outside of themselves to engage with. And I think that's really unfortunate in terms of the reception of this movie and the overarching story. But it connected with me, and that's why I'm here hosting this podcast. And it connected with you, obviously.
Yeah, it definitely, and then even more so with Batman versus Superman, which, you know, I thought was amazing in terms of, again, another misunderstood film, you know, kind of just continuing to expand on everything that you just said. You know, I think back to, so my paternal grandfather's last name is Kent. So Superman has always been kind of like a special thing in my family, I would say. And so the, you know, his Kryptonian father, his biological father, and then his adoptive father, both playing a very important role. And I love how Zach, you know, kind of layers, it's two different perspectives, but really ultimately, you know, trying to get to the same goal. And I love the callbacks when we get to, you know, Zach's Justice League, which was just mind-blowing. That will always make me very emotional as well, when he gets the black suit. So it's just, it makes me, I try not to get too frustrated and dwell on what could have been, because he really set the foundation for something really special. And I think, you know, it brought him, I believe Gal did audition for Feora as well. And he was like, so it brought Gal in, you know, it really set the foundation for something incredible. And, you know, I'm grateful for what we've had from it. I wish things would have gone a bit differently, but we still have something very special, like, you know, that we've said that is still relevant and is still impactful today.
Okay, we've got our other two guests coming on. Let's add Anthony and let's add Andrew. Andrew, you are sideways on the screen.
Bummer.
Not really sure.
That's not roll.
Nope, that's up or down. Other way.
Other way?
Other way.
Well,
there we go. Perfect. Excellent.
Yay.
Here's everybody. Can I hear Anthony? Can you test really fast? No, your audio is not coming through. Maybe hop out, hop back in. Maybe.
Turn it off and turn it on again.
Basically.
That always works.
Anything? No? No? Can you hear us? Yes? We cannot hear you. So just hop out and hop back in, and maybe that'll work. Maybe, hopefully. Yeah, give it a try. Okay. Andrew, welcome. Glad you're here.
Sorry I was late. We had a meeting that was meant to go from 11 to 11:30, and it went from 11 to way past 11:30.
Yeah, isn't that the way it goes?
Indeed.
Why don't you introduce yourself, Instagram, where we can find you, where you hail from, etc., etc.
Yeah, well, I'm Andrew, Melbourne Superman on Instagram, Melbourne Superman on Twitter. I'm from New Jersey. I grew up until I was about 25, New Jersey, the United States, and I moved to Australia, Melbourne, hence Melbourne Superman, in about 2009. And I've been here ever since, kind of trying to represent the red, blue, or black, or whatever color you like your Superman to be.
I want to make sure we got a couple corners of the globe in here. So we've got Canada, we've got Australia, we've got Louisiana, and 2 LAers. So he'll be back in a minute.
Nice.
So, why don't you go over a little, like, what kind of creative are you? Are you specifically a cosplayer? Do you do other things in addition to that, etc.?
Yeah. So for me, cosplay is actually relatively new. I mean, I've been dressing up like forever, and like 3 years ago, I was introduced to cosplay by my partner, and I didn't know that cosplay was as big as it was. I thought it was like me and like 25 other people. Um, but yeah, so main sort of living though is as an actor. I've been doing musical theater and film and television for as long as I can remember. But cosplay is kind of like it's like a safe, not always, unfortunately, but for the most part, it's like a safe and a fun environment, and I get to, you know, I mean, I'm 38 and I dress up as Superman. It's it's a fun time. It's just it's like we get to have a lot of fun. We get to live out our fantasies, and um, most of us will never get a chance to play our favorite character, whether that's Superman or something from Star Wars or something from anime, anything on screen, but the fact that we can dress up and represent that character as best as we can and what that character means to us, because it might not always be the same representation for everybody else. It's an amazing thing, and doing that and having the community as it is, for the most part, being pretty awesome. It's kind of cool to be involved with something like that.
So I can't remember, what was the first Cavill suit you wore?
The first Cavill suit I wore was from Replica Industries. It was a Batman v Superman suit. So for those not in the know, that's the one with the square buckle. So that was the first one.
Celebrating is round.
What's that?
Correct. The one we're celebrating, Man of Steel, is round.
Exactly. Man of Steel is round, which I have that one coming. I'm very excited about that.
Ooh.
And then it kind of just went crazy from there. I've got like 22 suits, I think, which is I probably should have. I always tell people I probably should have spent that money on like a house, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good time.
Okay, Anthony, have we got you on audio? Nope, doesn't look like it. Can anybody hear him?
No. Check your settings on where your microphone is, and you might be having something crossed the streams. Wrong
It's
franchise.
not muted. I can tell that.
Yeah, because I think default, like when I first joined, it had me muted and everything, so I had to click, to activate my microphone and camera.
Anything? Nope. Maybe the headphones are doing something.
He switched out of. I can hear him.
Yeah, what
You can hear him?
is? I see. The little volume bar is X'd on him. So is that something on my end that I need to do?
Oh.
It is.
Is that volume or is that? I don't know.
Or I can't tell if that's signal strength. I can't tell if that's volume or signal strength. It looks like.
I think.
Wait, let me try muting myself.
Yeah. Is that? Let's see.
I think it is signal strength. Just looking at everyone else's video, I can see the bars, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, because all of us have the bars, but his is crossed out. So
Right.
Come to the bar, man.
I think that's what's happening. Okay, he's unmuted, but nothing's coming through. Maybe increase your volume. Does that work? No.
Dang.
I don't know. Maybe try hopping on your phone or something. Maybe.
He's gonna give that a try.
Yep.
He's gonna give it a try. That's what we're gonna
just keep going. So, Andrew, So you have not yet worn the Man of Steel suit?
I have not yet, so I have it coming. It's coming from an awesome maker called Napier's, and the person who made the trim is Ben Able Effects. I say awesome maker because he's made me a couple suits, but he takes his time. So, it was meant to be here like a month ago, so I'll probably get it at some point, I think, in August. But yeah, so I haven't actually worn the actual Man of Steel suit yet. I do have a what do you call them? A Zentai suit kind of one.
Oh,
Um, which is kind of cool. I wear that when I take photos with my dog, just because I don't want my dog to jump on my really expensive suit. So, but yeah, even wearing a suit like that, you know, I kind of get the same feeling if I'm wearing a Zentai suit or one of my multi-$1,000 suits. It's still like the same feeling. It's like I'm wearing this suit, and it's like it's everything in the world that is right. It's that hope, right? It's that on my world it means hope, and it totally is. Like, no matter what suit you're wearing, whether it's a Cavill, whether it's a Reeve, whether it's a Routh or Hecklin or Hoechlin, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but it's just like that same feeling. It's like, this is cool. This is empowering.
that's actually exactly what I do. I have obviously the very expensive Man of Steel suit, but I also have Man of Steel, BBS, and Justice League Super Geek Designs suits that I have that I specifically use for charity events. So kids can tug on them, they can get a little dirty, they can get muddy, and it doesn't matter. So, okay, looks better. Anthony's here. You gotta tweak the orientation of the screen a little bit, though. Nope, other way.
How's that?
Yeah.
Other way.
What?
The reverse way of what you did.
This?
One more. No. Other way. Other way.
This should be the podcast. Just an hour of this.
Yeah, literally. This
is what my podcast is. There's generally like 5 minutes of behind the scenes shenanigans.
Keep rotating upside down.
You do a podcast.
Keep
Wait.
rotating.
One more?
Rotating. One more.
Are you
And
sure about that?
perfect.
Like that?
There you go. Yep.
All right.
Perfect.
That
We
was
got
weird.
one.
I don't know why the computer wasn't working.
That's all that matters. It's all good.
I'm here. I made it.
You made it. My fellow
Graduated.
Superman shirt.
Yeah, I got the Justice League Superman black suit.
Yep.
Nice.
I have
There you
mine
go.
over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Our last and final guest. Why don't you introduce yourself, Anthony?
Hi, I'm Anthony, aka SuperManthony. Okay, that's better. I am a cosplayer. I think we all are. But I started. My first Superman suit was Superman Returns back in like 2006.
Respect.
Yeah, I thought that was a good suit at the time. I mean, I think it's still a good suit. Looking back and seeing what we got afterwards, I was like, maybe it's not the best suit, but that was my first suit. I think I've done about 10 of them. You said you had how many, Andrew? 20 something?
I think I've got 22 with one more coming. So that's fun.
Jesus.
Just collecting them. That's awesome. I think the one I have now is the one Kelsey, you actually helped me get, the black suit. I still haven't worn it yet. I was gonna put it on, and I rushed to get on this call, but I got the shirt. So
Close enough. You got the shirt. That's all that matters.
got the shirt. That's all that matters.
We've got Morgan representing in the full suit, so we're good.
Yeah, I like that. And you got Batman too. That's awesome.
Just to be a part of everything for some reason.
Gotta
have Batman.
the world's finest. He's from up north, so we're good.
Yep.
So how many suits do you actually have right now, Anthony? Like active suits?
I only have the one. That's it. I've sold them all.
Yeah.
Like every time, I'm a one suit guy. I just keep trading up. It's like, got to go to the next console or something. So I now it's just the black suit. So I would like to do a Batman versus Superman. That would be kind of cool. That was the dream suit. It's close between Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman. They're both pretty close in my opinion. I like the use of the Kryptonian writing on the shield and the shoulder. I think that was very clever. So it's a close one for me. But yeah, just the one suit right now. So
which we still have to shoot, obviously.
We got to do something. It's just sitting in the closet. I just moved in, or I would have been more prepared. I just moved into this new place. It's somewhere. Everything's kind of a mess right now. That's why I had the Hawaiian background. I was at the beach for a while, but I didn't want you to see the mess that is this place right now.
It is all good. I had to orient mine, so we're looking at my closet doors because that is the only blank space in my room. So we're good. Well,
ain't that the truth?
We're all making do with what we have. So.
Exactly.
Which is very much what the Kents do in Man of Steel.
Yeah. You have how many suits, Kelsey?
Well, I have my primary Man of Steel suit, my dream suit that I already discussed a little bit. That one only gets brought out for cons. It's in the closet on its little half mannequin. Other than that, I have 2 of each, I think. I have 2 Man of Steel, 2 BVS, and 2 Justice League that I use for charity work. Those are all Super Geek suits that I've ordered that I've had custom fit, and then I add Velcro to the shoulders, and the cape goes on as a separate component. So that's 6. So and then 7 with the Man of Steel suit.
Oh wow! Yeah, I like your all your Superman suits are awesome, but I think I like your has nothing to do with Man of Steel, but your Batwoman is just crazy. I love that suit. Just a unique take on that. That's
insane. My other favorite. That was Man of Steel happened. That was my ultimate dream suit, and then I wanted an actual bat suit because I've cosplayed Batwoman for several years already, and the suits I've had up till then were not that great, and mostly from Amazon. So I needed to commit and actually get something commissioned from J. Curtis Atelier, who is phenomenal, and I cannot wait to work with him again. And that bat suit has been the highlight of the last 2 cons. So, very excited, very fun. I cannot wait for him to do a Justice Lord version of my Man of Steel suit.
That'll be cool.
I've discussed that with him. That will be my next dream suit. So there's fan art, there's concept art out there of Cavill in the Justice Lord suit and what that might look like in the Michael Wilkinson style. And I said, I have to do that because no one has done it. I have to do it.
What could have been, right? What could have been?
I would have loved to have seen DCU Cavill, Batfleck, Godot as the Justice Lords. That would have been crazy.
That would have been insane. There was so much they could have done. I mean, just this Flash movie, what we're getting right now, a real Flashpoint would have just been insane to see on screen. You know, with the Amazons.
Yeah, he was ready to go. He was sitting in the wing, ready to go.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Flashpoint Thomas Wayne suit with Michael Wilkinson?
Ooh, that would have been cool.
I
love the Flashpoint suit.
Yeah.
If I ever cosplay Batman, it's like a toss-up between like a combination of the Batman Forever / Arkham style or just the Thomas Wayne Flashpoint suit. If I ever go to the dark side and cosplay Batman.
That would be insane.
Do you have a cowl or something? What did you throw on that one time? Do you have a cowl?
Yeah. It was at Super I went to the workshop of Superhero Concepts, who's based out of Melbourne here. And he does a bunch of different stuff. And he's like, hey man, try this on. And I was like, all right. And so I put it on. I felt dirty, but I felt awesome at the same time.
Thomas Wayne.
Awesome. If you do Flashpoint, that would be incredible.
Yeah,
Thomas
I
Wayne
think that
BVS would have been like a Thomas Wayne Zack Snyder version would be a cool concept to.
dude, can you imagine Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman? Come on.
Oh, yeah, he was
That
ready to
would have
go.
gone so hard.
He was only casted to play that part, not the Thomas Wayne getting murdered in an alleyway. That wasn't what he was casted for.
Yeah, he was
It's like Billy D. Williams wanting to play Two-Face.
Lauren Cohan as Thomas and Martha in the Flashpoint timeline. Like, he was not joking around. He was ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have had all the Walking Dead people freak out. Oh my God, it's Negan and Maggie. They're hooking up now and they're like fighting each other. But that would have been a nice little crossover.
Yeah.
That's what this new Walking Dead City or whatever it's called on Stan or whatever is going to be. It's going to be actually him transitioning to Batman.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you imagine? That would be amazing. They're like, psych, just kidding.
Man, he was so good in Watchmen. That would have been amazing.
Oh, that's
Oh God, he was so good. Like Zach knew. He knew what he was doing casting him. He was like, that's my buddy. He's done good for me before. We're gonna do that again.
You never know.
We'll see.
It still
We'll
happens.
see.
Cross your fingers.
I want to see more Flashpoint Thomas Waynes in general. I've only seen like 2 being cosplayed.
Yeah, I can't even remember. I know I've seen one. I can't remember who does it, but it's pretty epic. It's not Saddle Up. I don't think he does it. It's
I think does it.
Who does?
I think it's Nashville Knight who does it, or
That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
I think I've seen that one, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I've seen that. Pretty good.
the tactical suit to make it look, or I'm confusing one of his other suits, but I remember seeing it as like, that's a movie version of Flashpoint if I've ever seen one.
Mm.
So
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
All right, let's see. List of questions. What have we not hit so far? We haven't talked to Andrew and Anthony yet. Why do you love Man of Steel? What hit you after seeing the movie? What stuck with you? What changed you? Why is it still so beloved today? Andrew, go ahead.
All right. Well, I mean, I got to be honest with you. When I first saw it, okay, so I am a big fan of Christopher Reeve, right? Like, and that's Reeve, everybody. There's no S at the end of his name. Let's all just get that through our skulls. Huge fan of Christopher Reeve. I loved the Brandon Routh movie. I thought it was cast really well. I think the story had potential. I think, unfortunately, it fell short.
Yeah.
Whatever. I did enjoy that. But I love that. A big part of it was because it was like the John Williams score was a continuation from the Reeve sort of mythos. So when I went in to go see Man of Steel, I was really excited to see it, right? It's 2013. I remember when I saw it here in Australia at a theater called High Point Hoyts, and on the IMAX and everything. And I remember walking away the first time, and I kind of like, I wasn't sure that I got it. I was like, I think I was comparing it so much to what I knew. And I didn't really fall in love with it until probably the second time I saw it, or the third time I saw it even. And then it just kind of like, it just turned into, it just like a snowball. It snowballed into like this awesome love, because it's like the first time I saw it, I didn't get it. But then the more I watch it and I'm looking at the undertones, and look, I very much enjoy watching movies just to watch a movie. I don't necessarily need to see an underlying message about the politics or whatever it is today. But at the same time, I appreciate when I pick that up. And so when I'm watching Man of Steel the second or third time with a more open mind, I'm like, there's a lot in here just about, what it means to be an outsider. It's not just necessarily this. I mean, in the Superman, the movie, he was loved right away, and that's easy. Whereas you take the Man of Steel with Henry Cavill, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, and it's like, that's not. This is a much more realistic of what we would actually probably see today. A lot of hate, a lot of fear, a lot of chaos and destruction, and we're not really sure what's going on. A lot of blame, a lot of scapegoating. And then I look at that and I'm like, out of all that, this is Superman who has been faced with all that and yet he still chooses to do the right thing for these people that aren't really sure about him, because his heart's always in the right place. And that, to me, is what Superman is. And then once I realized that on the second or third viewing, everything else just fell into place, right? Like the music, the characterizations. So many people I've talked to don't love Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent, and I'm like, whatever, dude. I loved I loved what he did. It was like he reminded me sort of John Schneider, I think his name. No, is it John Schneider from Smallville?
Yeah.
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 I love that characterization, and it kind of, there was a little bit of that into Kevin Costner, because I'll be honest with you, sometimes I find Kevin Costner boring, but this time I did not. I was like, he is looking out for his son, and he is making the ultimate sacrifice to make sure that his son is safe and is not going to reveal himself to the world before it's time. Like, sure, he could have been saved with the twister, but it's like, you know what? Not yet. It's not time right now, and you need to like wait, and I will sacrifice myself for you. And it's like all those little things there, and you know, the action sequences and I mean, I think probably at this stage I hum the flight theme in my head more than I do the John Williams score, which I know is kind of like, I feel like I'm betraying John Williams, but at the same time, it's just like it's just a real cool. It's an amazing story that I wish we would have been able to see more of. You know, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are like, oh, it's so dark. It's like the DC universe. It's like, yeah, but it's kind of real. And like, I'll be honest with you. I love the Christopher Reeve movies, but they don't quite age well, because yes, they're not as campy as say 1960s Batman, but they're still pretty campy. I mean, it doesn't mean that I love them any less, but when you look at an updated version of Man of Steel, we kind of need that. Like, and the first time we saw the costume, I call it a suit. I don't call it a costume. It's a suit. It's a work uniform. But man alive. Yeah, it's just like everything about it. I mean, sure, there's moments where I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. But that's like with any movie, right? It's like I could watch it over and over again. It brings to light what we all kind of feel like we need, is that we all feel like we're outsiders at some point, if not all the time. And we look up to characters like Superman because they are relatable. Sure, we can't all fly. We don't have super speed, but at the same time, he's not infallible. He has a choice to make. He has a struggle that he goes through, and he's an outsider, and he's got to find his way in the world just like all of us. And I think Zack Snyder really, really hit that home. I know that was like a really long-winded answer, but that's where we're at.
That was a wonderful answer. I love that Zach presented him with much more of an existential problem to wrestle with, rather than something he can punch his way out of.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. As someone who struggles mentally a lot, I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
So.
agreed. I think that's the thing. That's the thing about the Reeve movies, is that, yeah, it's what can Superman do? It's not who Superman is, or who is Clark Kent. I mean, there's three versions, right? There's Superman, there's Clark Kent, there's Kal-El. I think in Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, we see a little bit more of that, but in Man of Steel, we see all of that.
All right, Anthony. Let's hear from
man. I don't know how I'm gonna follow that.
That up.
That was a good one.
Oh, thank you.
So I mean, like before Man of Steel, like like you said, I loved the Reeve stuff, Reeve, and I even loved Ralph. You know, it was that's all we had as far as exposure to Superman. We had Dean Cain. You know, we had some shows, but like everything was kind of the same. You know, Smallville was probably the most different thing we've gotten from Superman. And coming into Man of Steel, you know, I mean, like you look at the Ralph stuff, you look at Reeve, it's like they show them for briefly at, crashing on Earth, and then they struggle for like a good 5 seconds and with their powers. And I don't even think Reeve struggled that much. and then he's just Superman, you know, and then he's just saving cats from trees and saving Lois from a helicopter, and it's just like it's just he's Superman. He's like, they just jump right in. I think what Man of Steel is, it's you see this, it's like, what if you were Superman? What if you were this immigrant, this person that had these powers that, you know, like you can I mean, for years Warner Brothers struggled with how do we make this guy relatable? He's a god. He's above us all. You know, like, and I feel like they knocked it out of the park. I mean, like, how do you make him relatable? Like, what would you do in that situation? And, you know, like, I think my favorite part of that movie was him kind of figuring it out. Like the scene that even, I mean, Cat was not even in it, but like him as a kid hiding in the closet and his mom comes to the rescue, like seeing that, like seeing the emotional journey this little kid had to go through, you know, it makes you appreciate what he becomes even more. It's just such a phenomenal movie. Like you said, like I mean, of course, the action, like, I mean, you see like how the love he has for his mother, for Martha, and you know how she was always there for him after his father passed away. And then I think one of the most powerful scenes is, because I mean, I love my mom. I'll murder anybody if anybody touched my mother. Is just that scene where he just takes Zod and goes right through the cornfield and into a gas station and explodes. Like you feel like, just like everything else in this movie, what would you do if you were Superman? And everybody wants to bash and say, look, he blew up a whole city and, you know, people died. It's like, what would you do? We've seen what Christopher Reeve would have done. We've seen what Brandon Routh, we've seen what a perfect, you know, comic-y version would have done, but what would you have done? And I think that's what I really like about this movie, and just Zach's vision in general for all his movies. You know, same thing with Batman. Like, I mean, Affleck, you know, like this guy's been fighting for 20 years and seen all his friends go down and turn bad and whatever, and stuff we don't even know that happens. Like, wouldn't you have like kind of been jaded too? Wouldn't you have kind of? So it's, you know, I think he just knocked it out of the park. I seen Man of Steel probably 5 times in theaters. I loved it from the first showing. And I mean, like, I waited so long to finally see like a different version. You know, I mean, I remember they had a Justice League Mortal that was going to come out, and I was like, oh, cool, finally we're getting a Justice League movie, and that fell apart. You know, and it's like, for so long I wanted something that was different, and it was just, it redefined what, you know, to me, I've loved Superman since I was a kid. I've been dressing up since I was a kid, but this version of Superman was just, it was different, but it was right. It didn't feel like, what is this character? It felt like this is what the character should be, and not, you know, 1938 Superman.
I think you hit it right there, right on the head right there. It's like, it wasn't forced. It just was. It's just like, you watch it and you're like, this is Superman. This is like, yeah, I love that. Well done. That was better than mine.
It's not a competition.
If it is, you'd win.
I figure I should show off my little OG screening card. This is from
cool.
2013. This is the first time I ever saw it.
Was that the ticket?
I thought that was a picture of you, because you've done that pose.
Yeah,
such a great,
I thought that too.
My icon pose. Yep.
That's awesome.
That is the first time I ever saw it. It was a pre-screening, so I saw it 10 years ago yesterday. Today,
wow.
Actual release. So I saw it the day prior.
Nice.
But yeah, that was that. It was life changing. It was absolutely life changing.
I think that feeling for the Man of Steel the first time was the feeling I got for watching Batman Begins for the first time. It was like, it doesn't have to be Joel Schumacher beating up Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore. It could be something better. That's the feeling I got with Man of Steel.
It's funny what these superhero movies do to us, right? It's like every time a new one comes out, it's like a new era of what this character is. I mean, no matter if you're into the comic books or the TV show, a movie comes out and all of a sudden that's what the character is. For so long, it was Christopher Reeve. And then for like 5 minutes, it was Brandon Routh.
Oh, Brandon.
I love Brandon Routh as Superman. I shouldn't say that. I love that it came back in Infinite Crisis, and I'd love to see more of him. But when Batman Begins came out, when Christian Bale came out, it's like, that's Batman. We're kind of going through that now with Pattinson. Like, I love Pattinson's Batman, and with Henry Cavill, it's like it opens up the mythos to so many different kinds of people, because like, you look on Facebook, you look on social media, and so many people are like, Cavill's my Superman. And like, these are people who may be new to the character, that don't have any idea who or what Christopher Reeve is, or George Reeves are. And it's like, it opens it up to a whole new generation, and it defines that generation. Like, our times in some shape or form are defined by these superheroes that we watch on screen, I think.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, this is Cavill's. I mean, we're a little older now, but I mean, kids growing up now are going to see Cavill's their Superman. Just like, I mean, I don't know who's my Superman was. I guess Reeve was mine growing up, but it's crazy. He did a great job, and I'm grateful that we got Cavill as long as we got him.
Mm.
So why don't we all go around and talk about your favorite character of Man of Steel, whether that's Superman across the board, and your favorite scene, your favorite sequence, your favorite part. So Morgan, why don't we start with you?
So my favorite character is Feora. I think she is one of the top female live action characters that we've ever gotten. Just everything about her, the actress, she's gorgeous. She was, I think, perfect for the part. I'm glad that they casted someone that may not be as well known in that role, so she could really come into it. It inspired me to, look at costume design in a different way. It was, dream cosplays of mine to do one day. And it's connected me with some really amazing people who also love the character. I would say probably my favorite sequence is when they are fighting each other in the middle of the town in the IHOP, which I still have to take pictures in like an IHOP or something. I gotta do something. I don't know. There's no Sears around anymore. So I don't know what to do. I gotta find a town. But I just distinctly remember the first time seeing it in theaters, and again, just the way that their movement and their speed was depicted. It was just like, it really hit me for some reason. I just thought it was incredibly done. And again, that realism and that, like, I just have never seen it visually that way before. I just think that whole sequence is really amazing for its time, with the visual effects, just everything about that sequence. I think it's definitely one of my top favorite parts of the film, for sure.
All right, Bats, how about you?
I'd say, like, besides Superman, it's probably a toss-up between Michael Shannon's General Zod or Russell Crowe's Jor-El. To this day, and I will never tell this to EA Superman, but if he watches this, he'll probably not let me live it down. But I have never wanted to wear a Superman costume until I heard Jor-El's speech during the flight scene, the first flight scene. And just like the whole, you will give a people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. And I'm like, damn, now I want to go like fly or go for a really fast run and just kind of like do my hair type thing.
I'm telling the world.
Sorry?
I'm telling the world. I'm telling everybody FMJbatman wants to be Superman.
I will firmly deny that. Never heard that. But yeah, just that whole scene and just everything that Jor-El says in that movie, and even in the Snyder cut too, it's really impactful, and it sums up kind of the idea of Superman and the idea of what Clark is striving to be. It's not just platitudes of like, well, kids be nice to each other, people be like smile and cheer and wave, but it's a real deep meaning. And then when Michael Shannon's Zod, it was just amazing how you knew he was still in the wrong, but you could always see where he was coming from. And not every villain has to be a sympathetic villain, but that's one of the few times where you're like, it's sympathy, not because he's like he has redeeming qualities, but because he so firmly believes that there's nothing else he can be. So like that whole scene where he has no more purpose, you really feel like, okay, yeah, there's nothing left for this guy. So that's who he's going to be. So I thought those parts were played extremely well. And for favorite scene, I have a few, but I think the first fight's still going to be my all-time favorite.
Andrew, how about you?
Okay. Well, obviously, I mean, taking Superman off the table is my favorite. I agree. I love Michael Shannon as Zod. I think he was awesome. Just the way his intensity is like, where did you learn your skills? On a farm? And it's just like he's so like,
Yeah.
he's just dripping with whatever it is that he's dripping with. It's just great. And you're right. You kind of feel for him because he just wants his world back. And it's not like Zod in Superman 2 where it's just the guy's just being a jerk because he wants to rule the world. Michael Shannon wants to bring his world back, and it's devastating that he chooses the path that he chooses, and he ends the way he ends. And I thought he brought I thought he brought amazing life to it. Like, I would never have thought to cast somebody like Michael Shannon as Zod, but then watching it, that's the one thing actually I remember from the trailers 10 years ago is I will find him.
That creepy video when he comes on the TV, that was insane.
Yeah.
The very, very much the OG Snyder horror elements to that scene and using it in the trailers. Oh,
Maybe Andrew, you there?
Yeah, sorry.
Is going nuts.
Yeah,
you got my bug. It's contagious.
Oh, no.
Hold on. Let me try this again.
It's all good.
It's Zod trying to take over.
All right, now.
It's literally right as we're talking about that scene. It's like,
yeah,
he's doing it.
that was funny.
This was all planned.
Yeah.
Every single moment of this hour and 18 minutes thus far has been completely planned. I'm totally in control.
It's real, just like Man of Steel. It's not over planned. It's a very real take on a podcast.
Exactly. Never.
Well, I guess I'll go then.
Okay, Anthony, how about you? Close it.
Well, like favorite characters. I mean, Feora was great, just like you said. Like, I thought she was amazing. Like you mentioned with the super speed. Like, we never really saw in a Superman movie super speed. Superman always kind of just like flew away, whatever kind of speed, and like you could see the strings, but like we actually saw her like do the doop, and take out like the army or whatever, and it was cool. Just showcasing all, well, not just his powers, but they all kind of share the same powers. But my favorite, besides her, because I don't want to steal your favorite, I think I think Jor-El was great. Because, just like we never seen Super Speed, we never really seen Jor-El be anything but a scientist. And this version of Jor-El was kind of a badass. I mean, you see him diving into that lake filled with all the, what do you call it, the skull, was it the Codex?
The Codex.
On the Codex. Like, it was a whole different take on the character. He was a badass. He was a fighter. He had the, he almost took out Zod. He got the upper hand for a while, but he was also very calculated, his personality, and then seeing him come back as as a hologram or whatever you want to call it. You know, I think Russell Crowe just did a great job. And
you're not going to cast Russell Crowe in a movie and not let him have an action sequence.
Oh no, you can just have him be like, you know, like what's his face? Christopher Reeve, what's his name? Marlon Brando.
Brando.
You did a great job too. Marlon Brando for the time did a great job. You know, but I think you got an in-depth like just like Superman redefined, you got Jor-El redefined, a new version that we've never really seen before. A fighter plus a brilliant scientist that was right about everything. And I just think, I mean, that whole, the first 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever the beginning of the movie, that, I think that was
the 20 minutes from prequel.
Yeah, oh my God. Like it was a completely different take from anything we've seen in the comics, anything we've seen in TV. You know, it wasn't all crystals and stuff. It was a world that was like, looked like it was ready to blow up. Like it wasn't perfect. It wasn't like everything's technologically and great and we're all flying in cars and everything's amazing. And then boom, it was like, this world looks like pretty fucked up. Are we allowed to curse on this thing?
Yeah,
this world looks pretty messed up. and then,
questions you're supposed to ask before you do it for 500.
Probably ask, are there kids watching? This just no, we could drop one F-bomb. It's still PG-13, I think.
PG-13. Nice.
Yeah.
That was our one. No more F-bombs. But it was a I mean, the design, everything from the design of the costumes, from the design of Krypton, everything was just beautifully done and well thought out. And that whole opening, I could see a whole movie on just Krypton, just the backstory of. I could see a whole movie with Jor-El. It was just insane. I think
Crow and Shannon were game during the Man of Steel press tour. They were all talking about it. Where is it, guys?
With better management,
they did like a Krypton television show for the Sci-Fi Channel.
That's the original plan for that Krypton show was going to tie in with Man of Steel.
That was the original plan. That's what it was supposed to be.
I mean, even the emblem kind of resembled, in a way, the Man of Steel.
It changed.
Yeah, then it changed. Yeah.
So yeah, that went a whole different direction.
Yeah. But
what could have been?
Good times.
Oh, well. So that leaves me to change it up a little bit and to take the obvious choice, Superman, off the table. I think my favorite character of that film was Lois Lane. Amy Adams blew me away. She blew me away in this role. She was perfectly cast for the story that Zach wanted to tell. Her chemistry with Henry was exactly what it should have been. And I loved how active she was. The first 30 seconds of her being on screen, she turns around, tells Superman to be careful with her bags, they're heavy, which is a hilarious dry humor moment. That was fantastic. And then she's squaring off with the military brass and telling them where to stick it. And I'm like, that's my Lois Lane. This is perfect. This is
Stop
amazing.
measuring dicks.
And she will not relent until she figures out where Clark is and who Clark is. And when she's confronted with the truth of his story and why he's never gone public before, she reconsiders and says, oh, actually, I'm not sure I want to expose him like this. And she's confronted with Perry telling her that the FBI is at the planet talking about treason, and she still won't budge. So she was something pretty special. So I think, oh God, my favorite scene. Ugh. Oh gosh. I honestly think my favorite scene is Clark's return to Smallville after discovering his heritage, after encountering the scout ship and leaving it in the Arctic, and reuniting with his mom after however many years he's been doing his little nomad thing out in the world. It was just such a sweet, quiet, intimate little scene between Diane Lane and Capel, and it just told you so much about their relationship and it meant a lot to me, especially on rewatches when I can fully absorb everything of the story and all of the little nuances, because the rewatch quality of these films is insane, and you can watch them 1,000 times and you'll still discover new things. But it was just perfectly acted. They delivered exactly what they were supposed to do, and you just felt her mother's instincts for her son, just that desperate need to protect him, even in the face of everything that's barreling their way. So I just thought that was really well done, and I was really impressed. So obviously I loved the entire film. I wouldn't be here if I didn't, but that was a special little moment that I really liked.
Too many good scenes.
Yeah, there's too many.
Yeah.
I would reflexively go for flight just because I was like clutching my armrests and filled with goosebumps the entire time. But I wanted to be a little more introspective and see what else I could dig up.
Nice.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I just said nice. You go. You're good.
Oh, I was gonna say one thing that me and EA Superman like to talk about is always how re-quotable and re-watchable the movies are. Is like there's always a perfectly quotable or quote for like every situation, like for some reason. Like I don't think the amount of times where we view something from BVS or something like example, we're talking about one of our friends as being like an asshole or something. The amount of times I'll say men are still good, things like that with any Snyder movies. It's kind of funny how you can relate so much of it to everyday life, and I don't think you can have that often with these types of movies, just because of how grand they actually are. So to have like those little introspective moments and those character moments and feel like something you would say in real life, that's huge. It speaks to the right.
You come out of these movies with a feeling, with an emotional journey you just went on. You feel uplifted, you feel inspired to do whatever it is you want to do. But I mean, you go to theaters now, it's like, what do you feel when you leave a Quantum Mania? Do you feel anything? Do you feel inspired to shrink down? And I don't know, it's there should be more behind these movies than just pumping them out, and just how many can we pump out in a year? And if people don't start raising up and raising their voice and saying, no, like, we don't want this junk, money talks, and you're going to keep getting junk, and that's going to be the end of, and eventually it'll be the end of superhero movies, because you decided to pay for junk. So maybe people shouldn't pay for junk anymore. I know I went on a little tangent there, but
Oh yeah.
I 1,000% agree, man. 1,000%. The people that complain about it, or complain about the stuff coming, are generally the people that are supporting the stuff that's coming. And look, art is art, right? Like, you tell your story that you want to. It's
Andrew, we lost audio.
I think he froze.
He's in the Phantom Zone. No.
Oh.
Okay. We'll try it again when he's back. No, he's in the Phantom Zone. Come back.
He'll be back.
Don't worry. We can release the Andrew cut next.
Hey, this isn't bad for our first. This is our first podcast, right?
I was anticipating a lot more going wrong, to be perfectly honest. I think we're doing pretty good.
I think we're doing great.
What's up?
Are you using the web browser page?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I'm in the browser.
Yeah.
Holding up as well as like stream wise, like there's not a lot of lag happening too. So
yeah,
no, it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm fairly impressed.
Yeah.
I say like I've done this in any semblance before.
Let's do it again. We could do Batman vs Superman in a couple of years.
Yeah, that'll be 26.
26
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 more years. We'll do it again. Suicide Squad. Nah, we could skip. We could skip Suicide Squad. The air cut would have been nice.
If once we get the air cut, then maybe then
Yeah, air cut would be great.
Just sitting there in the vault. Come on, guys.
I still want my out of Batman Forever too. I want
the Schumacher cut
for that one too, isn't there?
I think Kevin James says he has it
every so often.
What'd you say, Kelsey?
There's a Twitter account for what Bats just brought up, I think, that tries to kick up noise every so often. Like, I support you guys. I wish
that he saw the Schumacher cut too. So I'm like, Kevin, everything.
Kevin Smith says he owns it. Like he has a copy in his closet or something. I heard that recently. I don't know who gave him a cut of that, but he has it apparently.
Is it like that Batman Scooby-Doo crossover that got leaked last year?
That's probably better than what we got.
Yeah, probably.
I'll take Scooby-Doo over that.
Oh my god. Oh man. Oh, let's not talk about Tom and Jerry getting leaked as ZSJL. Let's not even go there.
Andrew, you're back. What were you saying again?
Yeah, you're back. No audio.
Oh, his audio's gone.
Let's try
Just
it.
mime it. Do you know sign language?
I know very elementary, like letter by letter. I cannot actively sign, unfortunately. I actually, that's a good point. I really need to like commit to actually learn ASL.
That's a good skill.
Mm.
I bet Bruce definitely knows ASL, and I bet Clark probably does too.
I wouldn't put it past Bruce or Clark. I bet they probably mime to each other when they're trying to like signals. What are we gonna do?
Well, Bruce, he knows like how many languages?
I think like 70.
Depends on the canon. I think live action ones usually know a dozen or so, and
Robert Pattinson
knows like 30. I don't know.
And then like Clark or Superman basically get all the knowledge from the Fortress of Solitude. So he
I think that's comic canon, yeah.
In the comics, yeah.
Oh yeah, New 52. He read up on all the languages and learned them in like a day.
Because his brain functions so fast.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Gotcha. You're back.
Yay.
Yay.
That reminded me of a scene in Entourage. I can't remember the character's name, but he's like, everything sucks and I hate everyone.
Oh, technology. Oh, technology.
Like the antithesis of Superman right there.
It's the dark side of Superman.
Nice.
I think, let's see, the last question I had for everybody was, do you have any future plans to cosplay a character, make a prop, do something in that manner from Man of Steel specifically? And I think, Andrew, you brought up earlier that you have the Man of Steel suit coming. So you want to talk about the genesis of that and how that decision was made?
Yeah, so obviously, yep. So Man of Steel coming. So at the moment, in terms of the Cavillverse, the SnyderVerse, I've got the Black Resurrection suit from Replica. I've got the Batman v Superman from Replica. I've got the newest one that I have from In Disguise, which is kind of more of a Shazam style suit because it's got the red piping. And so I decided, I was like, you know what, I really want to do a Man of Steel because I love the film and I haven't done that. So I reached out to this guy Ben Able Effects, who I've seen his trim.
Oh, he's good.
And he's so like his stuff is so good. Like I'm so excited to get it. And I knew that Napier's was working on a new muscle suit and
yeah, but they're taking a long time for that one.
Yeah, well that's kind of what they do. But I like their muscle suit because it doesn't because not to sound like a jerk off, but I don't necessarily need a muscle suit, but like the style of suit that it is, like if you don't have one, it just looks blocky, right? It looks weird. So the way that he makes the muscle suit is it's slimmer, it's more true to form. It still makes me look more jacked than I am, obviously. Let's be honest here. But it just looks nice. It looks more naturalistic. And so I'm going to go with a version that's, because in Man of Steel, his suit is it's weathered. I'm going with a non-weathered version, so it has a little bit more of that BVS shine to it, just because I like that. But it will be Man of Steel style, the round buckle, no Kryptonian script. So I'm very, very excited, because Napier is actually one of the very few makers that I have found that actually does a good cape as well, which a lot of makers don't. Not that they're bad, it's just that something's usually missing, and it's hard to say whether it's whether it's the hemlines, but Napier's does a pretty good one. So yeah, I'm very excited to have that come out of the woodwork sooner rather than later, but probably maybe I'll get it in time for the 20th anniversary. I don't know.
Good things take time.
Indeed they do.
Anthony, any suits on your end, or just the black one for right now?
Yeah, for now. I just moved into this new place, so I got to be careful with everybody knows those suits aren't cheap, so I got to be careful what I spend right now. But I mean, you got to hook me up. Your suits are amazing, Andrew. I really, I think we've talked before about it, but
yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm very lucky to work with some awesome makers. But yeah, you just let me know what you want, and I'll send you to the right person.
Yeah, I would really like to do a Man of Steel. Just kind of go back to where it all began. As much as I like BVS, something about that Man of Steel suit, it was the trim and it was a little darker than the BVS. I would mind doing that one. I've always wanted to do Batman as well. That would be kind of cool. But I know that's, and yeah, it's probably a lot more money to do. I mean, you got to get the cowl, the belt.
A lot of energy compared to Superman.
Superman, yeah, it's still expensive. You could easily spend $3,000 on a good suit, but but like you said, maybe I should buy a house.
Maybe. It's too late for me. It's not too late for you.
It's too late to go back. Bats, how about you, and how about EA Superman? Does he have the Man of Steel suit yet, or no?
So he already has it. I think I told you before, like because he bought it secondhand off of a guy who was much, much smaller than him. He has to be at a certain weight class to kind of fit into it. But really good. It's the Young Knight props. One thing I really like is the print, like the fabric is amazing. The only thing that I'm not a fan of is the flex design muscle suit. I'm trying to convince him to go with either like what Andrew's doing, Napier's, or somebody else, maybe Hurley Effects, or even Superhero Concepts. The thing, funny enough, that Andrew was talking about, like how muscle suits can make you look oversized. I was talking to one of the stunt coordinators who worked on Man of Steel in Toronto. Cavill was only about 180 pounds for most of that movie while they were filming. He was bigger in BVS. So like that muscle suit is not that big either. So like you were talking about like how it makes you look way bigger. I think the muscle suit itself is naturally a slimmer piece. So just having something that accentuates what you have is always a lot better than just something versus Affleck's, which is like hulking mass, on hulking mass, right? So I know me and EA Superman are trying to figure out what to do with that. So yeah, he's got Man of Steel on the way there. So that'll be happening. Hopefully he would like to have it for our next local con, which is in September. Be ready for that. And then pair it up with my BVS suit, the cowl that I'm wearing too. I know I would definitely want to at least get some kryptonite props, or even one of the guns, just because like Affleck has it in the Snyder Cut as a testing gun too. So I kind of want to have one for myself. And I'd like to make
Imposter Cosplay has the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher file, so he might be open for a commission for that.
The hard part is Canada's really strict with like importing prop guns and all that stuff. So I'm like,
I guess that's fair.
I just make one out of foam, and I'm like, it looks like shit, but it'll work for now.
Yeah, Yeah.
It's a cheerleader effect. When you put it all together with like the suits and then multiple people, it just looks okay. But yeah, for me and for him, that's kind of like what we're working towards. And I think he wanted to do the Black Adam version of the Man of Steel suit because he did colors. But we'll see.
It was definitely I can confirm it was the same suit. It was not a different suit.
Oh, they didn't it's not a recolored version or something like that?
No.
Oh. Damn it.
That was the Man of Steel suit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he wanted to wear that specifically, didn't he? Because that's where it all started, and he was sentimental about it, which is fair. I think it was probably just a camera filter thing that made it look a little bit more, not saturated, but a little bit more kind of the yellows was more golden almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the same suit.
Yeah, editing was not great on that.
No.
Best part of the movie, though.
Yeah, that's what got. It's sold the movie. Yeah.
Keep it at that.
We don't need to go into
that.
I know you have the 2 Feora suits. Is that where it stands? And can you show them to us a little bit? Can you show us some pieces?
Oh, sure. I have them sitting here, kind of. I don't have everything from her suit that's on Earth. But try to get this in the frame a little bit. So this was all entirely out of foam. So that's the breastplate. And then this is part of her belt, which is also entirely out of foam and using a wood burner to like etch in the details and everything. This is like some of her smaller pieces. So this is one of the gauntlets, which is one of my favorite pieces. I just love how asymmetrical and jagged and just like, I don't know, otherworldly the design is. I just think it's really cool. This piece actually wraps around your elbow. So this was kind of fun to make. Again, very jagged. None of the pieces match each other. So every piece has its own details. Like literally like her pieces that go up and down the arms, the belt, no 2 sides of the breastplate are symmetrical. It's just amazing. This prop blaster thing, this massive thing, this is also entirely out of foam. This is actually based off of the concept art, the original concept art, which has her with some kind of blaster. And I really love how they took the original concept art and made 2 suits out of it, because you can see some of the elements in both suits from the original concept art, which is really cool. And then this is the breastplate for the beginning of the movie with the emblem. Again, this is entirely out of foam as well. So the neck pieces that go like around the back of their neck for some reason was like super tricky to figure out, because I wanted to have enough room to be able to have like a range of motion. So I actually made it a bit wider than it probably would be screen accurate. But again, I wanted more range of motion, and I wanted to be able to wear the helmet and everything and fit all of that comfortably and practically. So yeah, in terms of doing anything else for Man of Steel, I mean, I kind of always wanted to do some kind of maybe, custom gender bent Supergirl, like what would Supergirl look like from Zack Snyder's universe? I think the design for Supergirl and the Flash is fantastic. I think I would want something kind of different. I don't know yet, but I would love to be able to do that one day. I'm thinking, yeah. And if someone were to want to seriously do Zod, I would definitely be open to making that for someone so that I could have a Zod and Fiora duo. That would be the dream.
I do know someone who's very, very into heavy armor cosplays, who stated within my eyesight that he wants to do Zod. So I will get you in touch with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make that happen.
Villains are fun to do as well, but kind of like what we were saying, I don't see them as like just one-dimensional villains. I don't see them that way, but it is kind of fun to tap into that kind of character for sure. Since I mostly do superhero characters, that was really fun to tap into.
And Zod was all CG.
Yeah, his entire
but
yeah.
Fiora's suit was completely it was totally made, which is just insane to me. So I still have to finish puff painting the chainmail detailing on the base suit underneath. So I still have some details to finish with that. But all like the armor pieces are done. So I'm hoping I can bring her to San Diego Comic-Con if I can fit everything somehow in a suitcase and not destroy it.
Oh boy, that's why I cannot travel to cons. All of my costumes are too delicate.
Yeah,
it's really hard. It's honestly really, really hard.
The struggle.
Never. Man, those suits are absolutely insane. I'm so curious what the actual Fiora suit was made of. Like,
if it's anything like, I had the incredible honor of speaking to, it was someone, I think it was an assistant costume, someone who reported directly to Michael, and just she was on the main part of the team. I don't remember if she worked on Man of Steel specifically, but she definitely worked on Justice League and everything. So she did talk to us a little bit about specifically Mara's suit and everything. So I think it is some kind of it's definitely something that's casted. Yeah,
maybe urethane rubber.
Yeah. I want to say it looks to me like that's what it is. But I don't know specifically for that, especially her look in the beginning of the movie. I'm very curious to see what materials they used to make that, because it just looks amazing. I've never seen anything like that before in a superhero film.
Especially because they all have their house crests on the outside of the armor.
Yes.
You see Fiora's House Ull, you see House Zod. It's just so cool. Such a great design.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite pieces to make was the emblem. So I used a Dremel to like really get those curves in there. That was probably my favorite part to make, and just try to make it look as casted as possible. So yeah, I'll never stop talking about the costume design for the film, because it's just, I don't know if I've seen anything like it ever. Yeah. I don't know.
It's so amazing. Like, I'm even gonna go get the box for one of the statues I have really fast before we wrap things up, just because it's got Jor-El's armor on it.
Yeah, that costume.
That costume is something else. Like, look at this.
I know, it's insane. And what's crazy is the amount of screen time it actually gets is like kind of criminal, but it still is just amazing.
That's awesome. Kelsey, you have the craziest collection too. You got to show off your collection. I didn't even know they made that much merchandise.
And this still isn't anywhere close to the full scope of what has been made for these films. So yeah, I will show it off one day. But yeah, this is a sampling of I could bring Zod's over too. Well, we can look at Zod's Earth armor. I do not have the Krypton armor, unfortunately.
Kels, we need cribs tour. Yeah, TV, this is my crib.
Oh, it's crazy. She's got the coolest crib.
All right, here is Zod's Earth armor.
Nice.
Yeah, I just don't think the movie would have been what it was without the costume design being like really something. And usually I'm pretty harsh on CGI suits, but that for its time was still incredible.
The fact that he stood right next to Feora on the Kent farm and you could not tell the difference between those two suits, whether one was practical and one wasn't. Blew my mind.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it hasn't aged a day. It looks as good as it did in 2013.
Yeah.
You gotta love too that the design for Michael Shannon's Zod, that kind of leapt over into the comics a little bit too. New 52, he started getting more of that armored, spikier look. You're like, I wonder where they got it from, but you know what? It's perfect because they're more than just.
It's amazing, and it's still like top notch. And there's movies that are coming out today that can't even get that kind of quality still.
Mm.
And that's
looking at Zod, the footage that's been shown so far of Zod in the Flash, I'm like, why does 2013 look better than 2023? I'm not trying to dog on the CGI. I'm not trying to dog on the artist, but obviously, like, someone dropped the ball in terms of like giving them the resources and the time and everything that was needed to be able to, I don't know. That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Bats, are you saying something?
I think his mic is muted.
Whose?
No, I don't think so. Oh no, we lost Andrew again.
Oh no!
It's not the it's the string. His phone keeps sending him to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, it was like you were saying earlier, like with the needing a muscle suit. Like, it's not just to get that size. Like, you can't. You can work out as much as you want, but muscles don't typically like shine through a suit. Like chrome shining through a blue suit. Like, you need that definition. Like, there's like veins that go down his bicep in the muscle suit. It just beautifully done.
I love how
it's really, especially Man of Steel isn't technically a muscle suit. It's like this bodysuit that is then accentuated in certain parts, like the thighs, the calves, the biceps, the chest, with muscle, like hard muscle patterning.
It's kind of like what they did with the return suit, just for Cavill's body rather than Ralph's body.
Yeah.
I mean, the return suit had the cool.
It's not all the muscles; it's just certain ones that need to be accentuated for the visual in the film to work in the way they want it to work. So, yeah.
All right. There's
the
return suit
the muscle suits that I have don't actually have abs. Those are all mine.
Are y'all pro trunks or anti trunks?
Oh, dude, don't ask that question. That's so hard.
I was pro until I saw Man of Steel. I was very pro. I was like, what? They can't take his trunks away. And then I saw Man of Steel.
Jay's comic art, he does some awesome like concepts of the Cavill suit with trunks, and I think it looks freaking great.
It looks I seen some versions with the trunks. It wasn't designed to have trunks, so
Yeah, it just depends on the suit, I think. Yeah.
the trim that goes on the sides doesn't really match the trunks. The belt doesn't. It's not like the belt with the loops. It just doesn't.
It gets way too busy.
It's too busy. Like I'm all in favor of maybe adding some red if they really want to, and some, but like full on underwear.
Like Andrew's current suit, actually.
The red piping. Which is actually
like
funny enough. When I chose to get that suit made, it wasn't because of Shazam. It was because I wanted to pay homage to the red trunks, and only later did I realize, oh, that's the Shazam suit. Son of a gun.
You did a good job. Like you didn't just throw underwear on top of it. You did a really good job adding red into that. That was great.
You have to follow Michael's example, and you have to be thoughtful about what you're doing design-wise. You have to be conscientious of the entire world that you're trying to make it fit into, and the entire concept of the visual that you're trying to get across.
Totally.
Right.
Well, I think we've just about covered everything, unless anyone else has any exciting little tidbits or toys or statues or props to share.
Not in my car.
Toys. Everything's kind of in storage.
Toys, anything?
I got a cool statue. Has nothing to do with Man of Steel, but it is like a Superman thing I can show.
Sure.
I was working in a finance department for a while, and I just left, got a new job, and my boss really loved me a lot. I was just temping over there, and she made me this statue.
Oh, that's cool.
This AP Superman on it. Yeah, little Superman statue. It has nothing to do with Man of Steel.
That's cool.
I just really like it.
It could have something to do with Man of Steel. You never know. You never know. That's awesome.
But it does, though. I mean, I think there's certain characters that are just, they're forever. Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, anyone can wear the mask. Anyone can wear the suit. It's an idea. It's an ideal to strive for. And
we're all living examples of that. Literally.
Yeah.
We're all sitting here. We all wear the suit. Bats wears the suit. Andrew, Anthony, Morgan, and I all wear the super suit. So.
Yeah. Well, you said you did like Christopher Reeve. I have an album of Superman.
Oh, is that the record?
That's cool.
The record.
Dude, I have that. I have that too. That's awesome.
Found it like a flea market or something.
Yeah, that's fun.
Cool. Wow.
That's vintage.
That's awesome.
Vintage right there.
I never player so I can actually play it.
Yeah, I should probably invest.
Super random side note, but I know we kind of touched a little bit on the music, but I still feel like that's also very much integral to Man of Steel. Hans Zimmer is my favorite person ever. Actually, when I was younger, I wanted to be a film scorer. I studied music, and like his music for Man of Steel is just timeless. He's currently on tour right now, but they did film, I forgot what year it was, but he's been doing his live touring, and he's been playing, doing live all of his music that he scored for all the different films that he's done. And they do have Man of Steel as part of the live concert, and it's just incredible. If you can find it, it's on YouTube. Just look up Hans Zimmer live in Prague, Man of Steel, and it's amazing.
Where is he touring?
Right now, he just tours in Europe. So
yeah.
I know. I keep commenting on literally everything, being like, "Come to the States,
to America."
Oh my God! I have to see this.
They have a cool thing. I don't know if they have it in the States because I don't remember ever seeing it, but they'll at the big concert halls here. They'll actually play the movie, and they'll have the live orchestra.
New Star Wars like that.
Yeah.
And Harry Potter.
They did, yeah. They're doing Harry Potter and Star Wars now. They did Hans Zimmer and Man of Steel. Obviously, he wasn't there, but a couple of years ago, and I missed out, and I was like, well, I hate my life.
I haven't seen them. I haven't seen that pop up in the States specifically. If it does, I absolutely will try to go because it's just.
Where are you at? Where are you located?
Me, I'm currently in New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Jealous, love New Orleans.
Yeah, you got good music out there.
Not that kind of music.
Not the stuff that matters.
Different kinds of music. But yeah, right now he's like, I don't know, London, Prague, Paris, all that stuff.
Stateside, I am buying tickets immediately.
Yep. I don't care how much they are.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Immediately. Yeah. Let's all meet up.
Yes.
At the Hans Zimmer concert.
At the Hans Zimmer concert.
Andrew, you're in Australia, but you don't have an accent. So would you move out there?
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. So I moved out here about 2009. So what's that? 14 years ago.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Staten Island, so not too far from.
Not too far. Just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, right across the pond.
Nobody said that expression in about 25 years, but that's fine.
Well, this was fun.
This was awesome. It was so good seeing everybody. It was so great getting together and celebrating this amazing film.
Totally.
Talking about all of our different styles of love and everything, appreciation for it. Seeing everyone's costumes. That was so exciting. Morgan, I cannot get over how amazing your fedoras are. Just amazing. Amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it meant a lot to me to make it a reality. So it's kind of a full circle moment for me. Oh, a full circle moment this year in many ways.
Full circle.
Yeah, but anytime it's definitely, just all the amazing Superman cosplayers, just everything. I would love to be able to, get together with any of you guys in person and, shoot together and just,
Yeah, I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con. That would be kind of fun to take a trip down there. It's only a few hours from here.
And where are you again?
I'm near LA now.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Los Angeles delegates.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, if we all meet up in LA, I'm sure me and EA Superman will come back to Cali again. We try to every couple of years, so.
Yeah, I miss LA. I gotta
Yeah.
We'll make
just
it happen.
fly across the Pacific.
What was it? I managed to get Morgan and Susie Creates Cosplays and my other friend down to San Diego, so I'll see if I can swing even more people next year. We'll see.
Yeah. Or WonderCon. I would love to go to WonderCon.
WonderCon's awesome.
WonderCon is amazing. Amazing. Please come. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Nice.
All right, guys.
I got a question for Andrew real quick.
Yeah.
How hard is to wear the suit in Australian weather?
Sorry?
How hot is it to wear a Superman suit in Australian weather?
It's just we've been pretty lucky lately. The last couple cons and shoots that I've done, pretty lucky, but every now and then it gets up to above 100 degrees, 110, and it's just like, well, this was a big mistake. My whole life is a mistake. Superman was a mistake.
Terrible mistake.
Yeah,
well,
yeah, it's not great. So I try to the point where if I've scheduled a shoot with a photographer or something, and it's going to be above X amount of degrees, I'll try to reschedule just because nobody likes a sweaty Superman. And those suits are so hard to clean, so I'm just like not all about sweating too much in them.
I know people that kind of like stuff ice packs and stuff, but like if it's, a really intricate, don't want to risk any kind of damage to the suit, that can't always work either.
Generally like a spot clean after a con with like an alcohol wipe spray. But yeah, if it's going to be too sweaty, I'll either postpone, or if it's at a con, I'll just Clark Kent it or something.
That's why WonderCon is amazing. It's early in the year. It is not hot when it happens, so it is fantastic even for bat suits. So,
it's
nice.
June. I mean, it's June over here, and it's still in the 60s.
Yeah,
dang.
We've been hitting 86 here in Canada for like the past 3 weeks. I don't know why we're warmer than California right now.
Yeah, we're getting freak weather out here. I like it. I'm not complaining.
well, we have June gloom, so it's not that surprising. But
Yeah.
We're just like super humid and thick, so even if it's not hot, you could just be standing outside and you're just moist.
yeah,
Ew. I'll
So
say that again.
you're you're just extremely limited. And it's like, why do we do this to ourselves? But it's worth it because you look amazing, you feel amazing. It's not practical at all, but you know what? We're out here.
none of this is
We're
about
doing it.
the rush. It's all about the rush.
Yep.
All right. Well, probably time to wrap it up here. It's been lovely chatting with you, amazing folks.
Thanks for having us. Thanks.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
Cosplay Alliance. Thank you, Beneath the Cowl, for the chance to host this celebration. This has been awesome. And we will be back for BVS in 3 years.
Oh,
I'll
snap.
be there.
All right. See you guys.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
guys.